Hi students, I'm Una.
And I'm Scott.
I'm a UK OET teacher.
I'm also an OET teacher from the UK.
We've been teaching students to pass their exams for many years.
And now we're excited to help you pass your exams too.
This is the Swoosh English OET Podcast.
Let's get started.
Are you struggling with your OET exam preparation?
Are you unsure how to reach your target score of a grade A or B? Let Swoosh English help you get there.
Go to www.swooshenglish.com or click the link in the description for your free OET Complete Guide to Writing.
Everything you need to know to pass your OET writing step by step. Go to www.swooshenglish.com or click on the link in the description below. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Swoosh English Podcast with me, Scott.
And I'm Una.
And today we're going to go through something to do with the OET examination.
Yeah.
So the most important thing I want to get out of the way first is, of course, it's very, very relevant that if you're here with us with Swoosh English or considering us for your OET package, that's all relevant and highly important. You need obviously to know how the exam works and know how to do the examination in terms of the strategies, the procedures, and get some practice in doing live practice with mock prompts or even some feedback with teachers or writing corrections with your peers.
You need to work on your test taking skills.
Test taking skills are very, very important.
Yeah.
But what this podcast is going to focus today is looking at the reading and listening sections, is how to improve your listening and reading for your OET in a more general perspective, in addition, obviously, to your exam practice. Because it is highly important, I think you'll agree with me, Una, that students have, like yourself, need to have your linguistic and your language skills up to scratch for the examination, in addition to your test-taking skills as well.
Definitely. So no matter how much time you put into, the structure of each section of the reading and listening part of the exam, how well how much time you have to spend, for example, all these different technical things. If your listening skills and your reading skills are not up to scratch, well, then you're not going to get that score that you need in order to achieve your career ambitions.
Which will likely be a B or a B plus as well. And simply put, if you want to get at least a B in every component of the OET examination, let alone listening and reading, and then you need to have both great test-taking skills and strategies as well as fantastic language skills as well.
So that's what we're going to focus on today, right? We're going to focus on trying to get past, some students just want to do mock exam after mock exam, do the reading section, do the listening section, but we need to think about improving those language skills more broadly as well.
Yes, because ultimately this is an examination not of your medical knowledge and ability, but of your English ability. So you need to ensure that your level is high enough for the examination before you do it. So we're going to look at a few things that you can do today to improve your general English. So these skills can actually be applied for OET or in general as well. And of course, you can actually easily tailor these to make them some more OET specific. Yeah. But the point is general language skills.
We are going to talk about some OET specific tips for your reading and listening as well, and some vocabulary tips that you can work on. Okay, so the first thing, of course, is definitely OET specific. It's thinking about reading medical journals.
Well, of course. So you might think, well, this is actually pretty OET specific. Well,
or pretty obvious tip.
A pretty obvious tip, but yes and no. I guess what we can do here is just sell the benefits of reading medical journals. So imagine you were doing the OET examination and you were reading a medical journal or a few medical journals. What would be the thing you want to get out of it the most?
So I'd want to get out of it making sure that if there are any words that I don't know. So I'm sure you can still come across words no matter, how wonderful your overall medical knowledge is or how great a doctor you are. You might still come across words in English that you don't recognize.
Precisely. We're not also just referring to medical knowledge as well, but we're talking about, sentence structure, complex words, any sort of word formation you're not unsure of. You might, like when it comes to obviously studying for any sort of English examination, you want to build upon your vocabulary. Yeah. So you come across a variety of different terms and phrases which may be new to you.
So definitely your vocabulary, and then also how the different sentences are linked in those medical journals, What kind of linking words, linking phrases, conjunctions, etc. How do they form their sentences?
You might be used to writing in a very informal or even overtly academic style. You might realize, hey, actually medical writing isn't like this, so maybe I need to actually understand how this is used so that I can obviously read in a more effective way for
Definitely.
For OET reading.
Yeah, you can look at those transition words, those linking phrases, and those are particularly important in those longer texts, which of course you will come across in part C of the exam.
Because medical journals are often quite long, and they are still pretty complex and quite dense as well. So you need to get used to reading these longer and dense texts as well, while picking up on that vocabulary, these terms. So of course, while you're reading, this is just general good practice advice, would be to make sure you write down any of these words and obviously try and relate them to other words. What's the definition of the word? What kind of word is it? What other words come in the family? And what are the synonyms of the word as well?
Really important. Even also, how can you pronounce that word? So it's very easy when you're reading to just, look at the definition of the word, look it up in the dictionary. But also, and of course that's useful for, recognizing the words in your writing and your reading. But also think about how it's pronounced, because perhaps you might want to use that word when it comes to your speaking as well.
Yeah, precisely. Or even your writing as well.
Yeah.
This is all very interchangeable, all interrelatable.
And the other point I want to make is whenever you are going through these academic journals perhaps, and you come across a word that you don't know, don't straight away look it up in a dictionary and find out what it means and put yourself, at ease, knowing now I know this word, it's all great. Challenge yourself to figure out the meaning of that word within the context. So use the wider context of that sentence and see if you can decide, if you have any idea of what it means before you actually go and get the answer of what it means.
Precisely.
That's a very useful skill that you need to build upon when, of course, in the OET exam, you don't have a dictionary sitting to hand.
Exactly. So the preparation needs to be done effectively beforehand as well.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. So what journal would you recommend for the students?
So the British Medical Journal is, of course, a great one that they can access. It provides a regular stream of articles on all kinds of medical topics and medical issues. And, of course, that would be a really good one to use.
And, of course, you can also guarantee the British Medical Journal will be of high quality as well, with a lot of really good journal writing that you can use to read, peruse, and reference from when you're reading.
Definitely. So you'll find out something interesting as well.
So, read medical journals, but don't just read them passively, read them actively.
Good point.
Get information from that in your own way.
Yes.
So, that's reading done in terms of medical journals. What would be the equivalent then for listening?
So listening to medical podcasts.
Precisely.
So there's podcasts in there that are going to really help improve your overall listening skills. And of course, you're listening to medical podcasts, so improve your overall medical vocabulary. And it's really important when you're listening to make sure you're listening to a range of accents.
Oh, yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
So even though the OET, you'll probably mostly hear a variant of native English accents, whether it's Australian, whether it's British, or it's American. Of course, you could still be divulged with a number of other accents as well. So it's important that you actually listen around to these to speakers speaking in a medical context or as well as a non-medical context, so that you are used to a variety of accents that you will hear.
And also a variety of speeds. I know that where we come from, we're often told that we speak super fast, and maybe we speak faster than people or native speakers from other parts of the world. So that's really important. And while you're listening, make sure that you do take some notes, and especially for those words or phrases that you're not familiar with. And then you can look them up afterwards. Like we said, in similar way with the reading part, and with looking up in the reading journals. Yeah.
So obviously you might pick up on a word that you might have actually heard in your reading or in your listening as well. So obviously it's quite interchangeable. But also when you're listening for certain words too, you might actually pick up on that information a bit differently. You'll obviously hear it in context with other words. You might understand how it's pronounced as well. And you never know, you might actually be able to attain the information better in a listening context rather than a reading context.
Who knows? So some really good podcasts for you to listen to are ABC's All in the Mind and BBC's Health Check, which focus especially on Australian and British accents. But yes, really good practice for you to listen to those accents and of course build up your overall listening skills for the OET exam.
All right, so that's terms of reading medical journals and listening to medical podcasts.
Are you struggling with your OET exam preparation?
Are you unsure how to reach your target score of a grade A or B? Let Swoosh English help you get there.
Go to www.swooshenglish.com or click the link in the description for your free OET Complete Guide to Writing.
Everything you need to know to pass your OET writing step by step. Go to www.swooshenglish.com or click on the link in the description below. Now we go on to some more general English stuff that we can do to apply to our reading and listening overall. So another thing I think we should do as well, if you're not doing it, I'm sure you probably are, but reading in newspapers and websites as well, especially in the news. Very, very useful for many ways. So obviously when you're listening to medical podcasts or you are reading medical podcasts or reading medical journals, you're going to be getting OET or medical specific information. But what if you just kind of hit a wall in regarding to reading this over and over again? You think, oh, well, I want to read something else for a change while still working on my active reading skills. So obviously that's where newspaper and websites come in.
Yeah.
So we recommend obviously listening or reading to a variety of different contexts. They could obviously be history context. They could be economic. They could be political. It could be current affairs. It could be news of some sort as well.
And the great thing about that is that you can basically read the things that interest you. Okay, so of course, if something interests you, you're more inclined to read it in more detail. You're likely to get more out of it. If you're reading something that's boring to you, perhaps you're really not interested in politics or Brexit, and you're not going to be getting the same out of that piece of reading, are you? Because you're going to be reading it going, oh, this is so boring. So if something sparks an interest in you, you're going to get a lot more out of that. You're going to want to read on. You're going to want to understand what it means. Maybe you want to understand the vocabulary so you can then talk about this topic to someone else.
And that enthusiasm is really actually important when it comes to you actually engaging in the material.
So important.
And actively getting that information from it.
Yeah.
So, obviously you're going to be reading around. You're going to be practicing your reading for gist, reading for your details. You're going to be picking up new vocabulary and finding information which you can link to the word family of other words. It's just going to improve your reading skills overall. So that's why it's important that you engage in something that you find interesting.
Definitely. It's so much better to be engaged.
If you love reading a romantic novel, who am I to judge? That's fantastic. Maybe if you enjoy a film.
Nothing wrong with romantic novels.
Nothing's wrong at all. That's
what
I'm saying.
I love a good romantic novel.
Nothing's wrong at all. If you like to read film reviews, that's all relevant too. Or maybe you just love to look at celebrity gossip magazines. Well, we'll maybe skip that one. But the others are very, very relevant in terms of your reading skills overall.
Definitely.
Find something you find stimulating and in English.
Yes, exactly. So these are really good tips. You never know what you're going to get out of reading these newspapers. And of course, they have a very specific style, a really good use of linking words, cohesive devices. So really good method, or a really good source to look at when it comes to practicing your reading skills.
So what would be the equivalent then for reading newspapers and articles, for example?
So another way is listening to YouTube videos. Well, you're not going to be at a loss if you go onto YouTube and you want to find something that is of interest to you. How many videos are there on there? So many.
Well, it's the place you go to when you want to listen to or watch something, right?
English is the main language, of course, on there as well. So you can go on and find an English YouTube video about any topic that you can think of.
Global warming, biographies, autobiographies, even just variety of different general
diets.
Things. You can find absolutely anything you want.
And another thing is, whenever you actually start to look up, maybe this is not so good, but when you start to look up a video on YouTube of something that's interests you, and then all of a sudden you're just bombarded with suggestions of the same topic.
Basically, you could probably actually stay on YouTube your entire life and never actually get off it with the suggestions you find. So, you're going to find other likely material if you obviously want to engage in some medical practice or journal, something OET related. That's great, but you can do many other things at the same time. And
the other thing is how you should actually watch these YouTube videos.
Well, that's very important because you don't want to be sitting back with your popcorn watching some great OET medical journal advice. This is fantastic. This is really good. Who needs Netflix? I've got YouTube. What you should be doing is actually engaging in your listening skills primarily. So I actually recommend this in a series of steps, watching a video again and again and again. The first time you watch the video, you actually shouldn't read it. You shouldn't even look at the image as well.
You shouldn't watch it.
You should
just listen.
You should just primarily listen. So if you can obviously turn off the TV, if you're watching, or on the computer, if you're watching, that's great. If not, just make sure you're not looking at the screen. Focus on your listening. Because after all, if you're reading or you're watching and you're not engaging primarily in your listening sense, you want to engage that entirely and primarily. So listen to the video. Pick up on the ideas you hear. What's the gist? What are the main details? What words did you hear? Take a note of them. See what sense you have made from just listening by itself. Then obviously what you listen again. Maybe actually this time watch the video as well as you are listening. You might pick up on something else that you might have missed the first time, And then finally, what would you do the last time?
So watch with the subtitles, perhaps.
With the subtitles as well.
And that way you can actually really see, okay, did I pick up the points? Did I pick up the vocabulary? You know, it's sort of like a test for your listening.
It's like a test of your listening, just to see exactly what information you can actually obtain via listening primarily versus actually activating your other skills like your reading or even your
with subtitles, you're going to be distracted by actually
very
reading
distracted.
them.
Certainly when you're obviously listening and reading, you know, it's very, very easy. You want to primarily activate your listening too.
Like even whenever you're watching a movie and all of a sudden the subtitles come on in the movie, it's very annoying because I automatically need to read the subtitles and can't just listen to the movie.
Yeah, but this is all incredibly relevant for the OET listening section when you're having to do a variety of different exercises such as listening for a writer's opinion, listening for gist, listening for detail, listening for opinions, etc., etc. So make sure you're doing that in your own listening time.
Very good. Okay, yes, that's a really good tip in order to improve your listening. Get on YouTube. Okay, so then...
And other websites too.
What about accessing graded content?
Well, this is very important because obviously if you're doing the OET examination, you will need to be probably at a level that is B2 or higher, which would equate between C+ and B in OET's grading scheme. So you want to ensure that you are actually doing graded listening and reading content, which is at that level.
Suitable for you.
Which is suitable for you. So you may be obviously preparing for OET. You're not quite at that level yet. So you need to find content that is graded on the Common European Framework of Reference that is suitable for you, not too challenging, also not too easy as well. So you're constantly improving and building. So that's why we recommend that you actually find reading and listening activities which are based on your suitable level, based on the Common European Framework of Reference, all the way from A1, which is the very, very beginner end, to C2, which is the advanced English end as well. So we have certain websites such as Sensations English, in which you can find that content that is of a level that you maybe have been assessed at or been assessed at by a teacher or another language school or an English language education.
Yeah.
So you're doing material which is, it is appropriately difficult according to your levels. Like you obviously won't cruise, going this is too easy, or get frustrated over content that is far
you will be
too
overwhelmed.
Difficult, that is far too difficult as well.
Very good. So that's really good advice. Check out that website and see what material is available on there for you. And of course, the last thing that is really useful to improve your overall reading and listening skills is, of course, work with a teacher. Work with an expert teacher who's got knowledge of the OET exam and also is able to work and give you feedback and pick up on anything that you need to improve upon in relation to your reading and your listening skills. It's particular for you. It's objective for you, and a teacher will really be able to help you with that.
That's also important as well because if you're actually looking for your own OET material by yourself online, you're going to find a lot of information just by Googling it. Lots of practice, lots of schools, lots of material that might not necessarily be of great quality, or there might not be a structure to it. There might not be an organization to it. There might be no feedback to it as well. You can quickly be incredibly overwhelmed by picking a Google search, OET, pass my exam. It'd be far too much information.
So much material.
So ultimately, you're looking for something which has been put together professionally, which offers you obviously expert guidance, feedback, criticism, and improvement over a period of time. So that's why it's highly important that you are actually getting assessed by a professional school, like us at Swoosh English, so that we can actually help you improve your English through going through a qualified and certified program with expert language teachers as well.
Definitely, and
so
it's likely that you will be able to pass the exam effectively if you are taking those steps.
People who know the OET examination also know the English language as well, because as I said, it's not just about your exam practice skills, but it's also about your linguistic and language skills as well. So make sure you get someone like us at Swoosh English to help you with your listening and reading, as well as other aspects of the OET examination.
Okay, so I think that covers it. Lots of things for you to go out and do now, guys, in order to improve your reading and your listening skills for the OET exam.
So plenty of work for you to put in your own time. Watch the YouTube videos, read news articles, don't read celebrity gossip magazines, read medical journals, listen to podcasts, and also find some access reading graded content at Sensations English, for example, as well.
Yes.
And if you're not a student with us at Swoosh English, we would love to have you to help you improve your OET with all the pre-mentioned things, as well as everything else that we offer.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.